In Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer, you are part of an Apex team, the best of the best the Nexus has to offer. While not a regular group of soldiers, they are nonetheless talented individuals that take on the most dangerous and important missions in this new galaxy. In this series, we are going to take a look at the various class builds for the various characters in the game's multiplayer. So with that in mind, I'm Darcblade, and let's take a look at our next Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer character, the Human Soldier. As always, remember that these guides are built for the harder difficulties in the game. They are also built with level 20 rank 10 characters. There will also be advice later on in the video for rank 1 level 20 characters if you haven't been able to get this character to rank 10. The Human Soldier is a jack of all trades, able to fight at any range. Whether it be with pistols, submachine guns, shotguns, assault rifles or sniper rifles, they can master them all. And once you get a weapon you're comfortable with and get it to rank 10, then the Human Soldier will really start to shine. Now the way I spec the Human Soldier is as follows. First, I take Turbocharge, going up to rank 6, putting points into Supercharge over Dump Heat. This is mainly for the increased rate of fire. Whilst the 80% ammo clip is nice, the fact that you still get a little ammo clip bonus with Supercharge makes it the better option in terms of DPS, in my opinion. Next, with rank 5, I put points into Force and Damage over Accuracy and Stability. Now, accuracy and stability could be a viable option if you are using a gun that has an incredibly high rate of fire and a heavy kick to it. But you can't deny that the 15% gun damage bonus and gun force bonus can be incredibly useful when you turbocharge the soldier. Next, with rank 4, I put points into duration over recharge speed. This is down to personal preference, to be honest. Being able to use Turbocharge more often is quite useful, but at the same time, if you're taking on a big target, which you need Turbocharge for, you don't want Turbocharge running out mid-fight. Thus, I go with duration. Next, with Concussive Shot. I only go up to rank 1 in Concussive Shot. This is mainly just to use it as a detonator, for either my teammates' primary abilities, or for when I'm using elemental ammo. If I were to put maximum points into it, I would probably put points into anti-armor over anti-shields, radius over damage and force. This is simply so I could set off multiple combos if needed, as long as there are multiple enemies that are primed next to one another. And finally, I would go for recharge speed over repeat concussion. Whilst repeat concussion is nice, the fact that it turns the ability into an ability that relies on power cells makes it not worth it in my opinion. Next, I max out frag grenades, going up to rank 6, putting points into anti-armor over anti-shields. This is because on the harder difficulty there are normally more opponents with armor than there are shields. With rank 5, I put points into grenade capacity over shrapnel. While shrapnel is good if you intend to be accurate with your grenades, I prefer grenade capacity so I can spam the grenades in quick succession if need be for a ton of burst damage. And with rank 4, I put points into damage over radius. This is so the grenades do more damage themselves, as when it comes to grenades, I normally use them on high priority targets rather than a group of standard foes. Next, with munitions training, I max this out, going up to rank 6, putting points into precision over sustained fire. Whilst to be honest, both of these options are good, and sustained fire might actually be better on this character than some other characters, I still like precision. This is due mainly to the weaponry I use on this character, because I really need the accuracy and stability bonus. If you were to go with sustained fire, for those of you who don't know what it does, it debuffs the enemy every time you shoot at them, as long as you're shooting at one individual target. So with each shot, they get a 2% debuff. So if you're using a high rate of fire weapon, this can be quite useful. So to be honest, both of these options are viable for the Human Soldier, depending on what weapon you're using. Next, with rank 5, I go for weapons efficiency over melee synergy. This is because I don't really intend to melee at all on the Human Soldier, so weapon efficiency was the obvious choice. Next, with rank 4, I put points into weapons training over power augmentation. This again is because I'm using this character as a weapon-based class. And finally, with combat fitness, I go for maximum survivability, putting points into hold the line, defensive positioning, and health and shields. As for weaponry, this is really where it comes down to personal preference. As I already mentioned at the start of the video, he can really use any weapon he wants and still be quite efficient and deadly with it. However, the weapons I like to use are high rate of fire weapons. Weapons like the Cyclone or Revenant or the Roserad work really well on this character. This is mainly because of the bonus Turbocharge gives to the weaponry, but I will go into details a bit later. As for gear slots, either take something to increase your weapon damage, your ammo capacity or survivability. Now moving on to the heart of the episode to talk about the abilities the Human Soldier has. First is Turbocharge. This is a wonderful ability, replacing Adrenaline Rush from the previous games. However, there have been a few slight changes. Firstly, when you activate the ability, for a short time you will have increased gun damage, rate of fire, and clip size. This allows you to deal a lot more damage with your weaponry. This, combined with the weapons that I like to use on this character, means that I will be spraying out bullets very quickly, and not only that, they will be doing a ton of damage. However, this ability does come with a fairly long cooldown, made even worse if you're using heavy weaponry. I tend to use Turbocharge for high priority targets, when something needs to die and it needs to die quick. If you have elemental ammo like cryo, incendiary, disruptor ammo on your weapon as well, Turbocharge can really work wonders and apply the elemental debuff and priming effect to the target quickly. Also with Turbocharge, be aware that when you actually activate the ability, it will instantly reload your weapon. This comes incredibly useful when you're using weaponry that have large magazines. The major downsides of Turbocharge is that it provides no survivability bonus, so it doesn't give you any decreased incoming damage. So most of the time when you use Turbocharge, you want to deal as much damage as possible, so you'll risk not going into cover. You'll stay in line of sight of enemies shooting at you for longer than you maybe intend to, and thus you take more damage. So with that in mind, try to use Turbocharge when you know you can easily duck behind cover or you have teammates supporting you. The next ability is Concussive Shot. This has been a staple for most soldiers throughout the Mass Effect games. Once activated, the soldier will fire a target-seeking high-impact round that knocks down unarmoured and unshielded foes. This can be great for giving yourself a little breather. However, the main use of Concussive Shot in this build is to activate either your teammates' combos or your own combos if they've been set up with elemental ammo. This is because by default, Concussive Shot is a detonator. As this is a homing ability as well, as it seeks targets out, you don't have to be deadly accurate with it. You can fire it around walls or over obstacles to hit enemies who are taking cover. Lastly, if you didn't like frag grenades, then maxing out Concussive Shot to use it as much as possible could be a viable option. Next, moving on to frag grenades. These are pretty standard when it comes to grenades. Once thrown, the grenade will arc towards your target and then explode after a 2-second timer. As these are arcing projectiles as well, you have to be aware of where the grenade may land, so you may have to practice a little bit to get the perfect aim with the grenades. You can also hold the grenade ability button as well. This will cock the grenade in your hand, and doing this will shorten the fuse. However, if you hold it too long, it will explode in your hand, damaging you. On top of that as well, if you happen to walk over your grenade after throwing it, that will also cause you damage. As I've maxed out frag grenades, these deal quite a lot of damage. Also, the way I've spec'd it, I can carry 4 frag grenades at once. This is without any consumable buffs. Consumable buffs can also increase the amount of frag grenades you can carry into battle. But regardless of if you take consumables or not, having 4 frag grenades gives you the option to deal out huge amounts of burst damage on targets. Say a Krogan Berserker is coming towards you, throw the 4 grenades near his feet and he should be pretty much taken care of. This also works well thanks to the ammo boxes being so generous in Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer. You can easily restock the 4 grenades from any of the ammo boxes you go by. And also you don't have to share the restocking with other players. Each player has their own supply, so just remember where the ammo boxes are on the map when it comes to spamming your grenades. Of course, they also come in handy for weaker foes as well, especially if there are a group of them close together. Personally, the way I like to use the grenades is to tend to hold the grenade for a second or two, count it down in my head, and then throw it over cover at enemies who are out of line of sight. The biggest downside of the frag grenades, apart from the fact that you can damage yourself, is that they are grenades and there are limited supply, but as I already mentioned, ammo boxes can alleviate this issue. Next, with munitions training. Munitions training is where the soldier gets its damage increased to its weapons. Maxing out this, in my opinion, is a must, as this is a weapon reliant class. Of course, Turbocharge will make your weapons work overtime. Munitions training gives you a constant buff to your weaponry. The only thing to take into consideration is whether you want precision or sustained fire in the rank 6 evolution of the tree. The sustained fire, which puts the defense debuff on opponents, can be incredibly useful for taking down the bigger and harder targets in the game, and this will also help your entire team out. However, precision can come in more useful for you personally and if you're using weapons that have high recoil and low accuracy. As for combat fitness, this is purely for survivability, maxing out my health and shields to as much as possible for this character, as well as reducing all damage incoming when my health has reached 30%. It gives you 200 damage resistance when you're on low health, which surprisingly allows you to survive quite a long time. So don't panic too much when all your shields are gone. Now by default, the human soldier has average health and shields. He also comes with a standard jet boost dodge mechanic. And finally, his melee attacks are all done with a standard Omni Blade. As for weaponry for the human soldier, this really comes down to personal preference, although I personally favour high rate of fire, high capacity weapons such as the Cyclone, Revenant and Roserad. Other players tend to favour other weapons. However, like I said, for me personally, my best results have always come from using these type of weapons. That being said, a semi-automatic sniper rifle or semi-automatic shotgun could also rip opponents apart, especially when combined with Turbocharge. Now, I don't talk about consumables too much with these guides, but I would highly advise taking some elemental ammunition with this character. Just be aware of who else is in your team and which ammo would be best to use. If you haven't got your human soldier to rank 10, then I would simply advise maxing out Turbocharge as well as maxing out munitions training, and then maybe going up to rank 4, health and shields, in the combat fitness tree. Afterwards, if you've got any points left, mix them out between the frag grenades, concussive shot and the remaining points in fitness. This is again because this is a weapon based class and you don't have to rely too much on your abilities to be at your best. The only ability that can peak your weaponry is really Turbocharge. Overall, the human soldier is quite a powerhouse when it comes to weaponry. As long as you've equipped him with a high level weapon, he can really tear opponents apart. You just have to be a little bit cautious, don't get carried away and don't get tunnel vision, especially when you're using Turbocharge. It is definitely advisable to learn where all the weak spots are on opponents when using this character. With the right weapons and high level weapons, this guy can provide a solid source of individual damage on the harder difficulties in the game. On top of that, his other abilities can help detonate combos, or provide large amounts of burst and area of effect damage. If you don't like using power abilities or instead just love the weapons in the game, then the human soldier is highly recommended, especially for the harder difficulties in the game. Anyway, I hope you found this guide helpful, and until next time, I've been Darcblade, bringing you a Mass Effect Andromeda Multiplayer class guide to the human soldier. Hope you enjoyed the video, thanks for watching, subscribe and like for more.